Hello and welcome back to Faceless Security, where we explore the world of technology and cybersecurity. In this video, we'll be discussing how to determine compliance and other requirements for information security. Information security is a critical concern for organizations of all sizes, and it's important to ensure that security measures are in place to protect sensitive information. To do this, organizations must understand the compliance and other requirements that pertain to their industry and specific needs. Some of the key considerations for determining compliance and other requirements include regulatory requirements. Organizations must comply with a range of laws and regulations, including data protection and privacy laws, cybercrime laws, and industry-specific regulations. To ensure compliance, organizations must determine which laws and regulations apply to them, and implement processes and procedures to ensure compliance. Industry standards. Many industries have established standards for information security, such as the Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard, PCI DSS, for organizations that process credit card transactions. Organizations must determine which standards apply to them and implement processes and procedures to ensure compliance. Organizational policies and procedures. Organizations should establish policies and procedures for information security that align with their goals and objectives. These policies and procedures should include guidelines for access control, incident response, and data protection. Risk assessments. Organizations must regularly assess the risks to their information security and implement measures to mitigate those risks. This includes performing regular risk assessments, developing contingency plans, and testing security systems. By determining the compliance and other requirements for information security, organizations can ensure that they are protecting their sensitive information, complying with relevant laws and regulations, and mitigating the risks associated with data breaches. Compliance refers to the range of actions taken by an organization to adhere to relevant laws, regulations, policies, standards, and other legal obligations such as contract terms and service-level agreements, SLAs. It is imperative for companies to engage in such activities in order to ensure that they operate within the bounds of the law and maintain ethical business practices. Failure to comply with such obligations can have dire consequences for the organization, including legal repercussions, reputational damage, and loss of public trust. It is not uncommon for organizations to have contractual obligations that include information security requirements. These obligations can be outlined in various types of agreements, such as a master services agreement, statement of work, work order, or SLA. Adhering to these obligations is essential for ensuring the protection of sensitive data and maintaining trust between the involved parties. Common law. Common law, also referred to as case law, has its roots in medieval England and is primarily based on judicial decisions, commonly known as precedents. The doctrine of stare decisis, meaning, let the decision stand, is a cornerstone of common law, which is frequently codified by statutes. In the United States, the common law system defines three significant categories of laws at both the federal and state levels: criminal, civil, or tort, and administrative or regulatory laws. Criminal law. Criminal law defines crimes committed against society, with penalties including jail/prison sentences, probation, fines, and/or financial restitution to the victim. The main purposes of these penalties are punishment and deterrence. To be convicted, the burden of proof is on the prosecution to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. Criminal law has two main classifications: felony, for more serious crimes resulting in jail/prison terms of more than 1 year, and misdemeanor, for less serious crimes resulting in fines or jail/prison terms of less than 1 year. Civil law. Civil or tort law deals with wrongful acts that cause harm to a person or business. Civil penalties do not involve jail or prison, but rather financial compensation to the victim through compensatory, punitive, or statutory damages. Convictions under civil law are easier to obtain because the burden of proof is lower. A jury must believe that the defendant is guilty based on the preponderance of evidence. Administrative law. Administrative or regulatory laws set out rules and regulations that must be followed by major industries, organizations, and government agencies. These laws are enforced by various government agencies, and violations may result in financial penalties and/or imprisonment. The industries covered by administrative law include banking, energy, and healthcare, among others. Liability and due care are important concepts in civil and administrative law. To assess legal requirements for implementing recommended safeguards, the cost of the safeguard and the estimated loss from the corresponding threat are evaluated. If the cost is less than the estimated loss, and the organization does not implement a safeguard, they may be legally liable based on the principle of proximate causation. Senior corporate officers may also be personally liable if their organization fails to comply with applicable laws under federal sentencing guidelines. These officers are required to perform their duties in good faith, in the best interests of the enterprise, and with the care and diligence that ordinary, prudent people in a similar position would exercise under similar circumstances. International law. Issue. Cooperation among countries is often necessary to bring computer criminals to justice due to the global nature of the Internet. However, cooperation is difficult and sometimes impossible due to various reasons such as differing interpretations of laws, rules of evidence, and priorities. Outdated laws and technology can also contribute to the difficulty of bringing computer criminals to justice. In addition, many countries do not have extradition treaties and will not extradite suspects to countries that have different or controversial practices. Legal systems vary around the world, and besides common law systems, there are other legal systems used in different countries. Civil law systems, for example, are the most common type of legal system used throughout the world. Unlike U.S. civil law, which is based on common law, civil law systems rely exclusively on constitutions and statutes, and judges interpret the law. Another legal system is the Napoleonic Code, which originated in France after the French Revolution and has spread to many other countries in Europe and elsewhere. In this system, laws are developed by legislative bodies and interpreted by the courts, but there is often no formal concept of legal precedent. Religious law systems, such as Sharia in Islam, Halakha in Judaism, and canon law in Christianity, are derived from religious beliefs and values. Finally, pluralistic law systems are combinations of various legal systems, such as civil and common law, civil and religious law, and common and religious law. Industry standards. Industry standards refer to the set of guidelines and best practices established by a particular industry or professional organization to ensure that organizations within that industry operate in a safe, secure, and efficient manner. Compliance with industry standards is often required by law or regulation, and noncompliance can result in financial penalties and reputational damage. In some cases, compliance with industry standards is voluntary, but may still be necessary to attract customers, gain a competitive edge, or reduce cyber insurance premiums. Examples of industry standards in the cybersecurity domain include the Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard, PCI DSS, and ISO/IEC 27002. Privacy data protection. Privacy and data protection laws aim to safeguard personal information from unauthorized access or misuse. However, the United States is perceived to have weaker privacy laws compared to other countries, particularly the European Union, EU, and its General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, which enforces strict privacy regulations on the transfer of personal information to countries that do not provide equivalent protection. Under the EU GDPR, personal data and records are subject to the following requirements. Collection must be fair, lawful, and with explicit consent from the subject. Data should only be used for the intended purpose and within a reasonable time frame. Data must be accurate and regularly updated. People have the right to access their personal data upon request. People have the right to rectify any errors in their personal data. People have the right to have their personal data erased from an organization's systems. Personal data cannot be disclosed without legal authorization or personal consent. Transmission of personal data to locations with insufficient privacy protections is prohibited. In conclusion, ensuring compliance and other requirements for information security is crucial for organizations to protect sensitive information, comply with relevant laws and regulations, and mitigate the risks of data breaches. Failure to comply with legal obligations can lead to dire consequences, including legal repercussions, reputational damage, and loss of public trust. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more great content from Faceless Security.